Hi everybody, this is Andy. I haven't recorded a video in the Excel stream for a while. I've been really busy, but what I've done recently is I created a different version of the Excel file, and I thought I'd share it. This version is, I think, a lot more straightforward in that it only calculates the CRS process. And then, as you can see, I've same layout as before, and it's formatted in the invitation to apply letter. But I've also got the federal skilled worker, federal skilled trade, and the Canadian experience class. And I've left off everything else, meaning I don't have any of the P&P calculations as I did before. I think this version is a lot more straightforward, and I'll leave the link inside the description box. But as you go through it, and again, this is all free to use. As you go through it, I just want to highlight a few things. So I've color coded the data input that's required in yellow. Now you'll see some fields like this, like which province do you intend to live in? That's a bit of a typo there. But what I've done is try to make the data input really obvious, and I've also added some other things that aren't directly related to the CRS calculation or any of the other calculations, but it'd be helpful in your analysis. Like for example, how many members in your family, and that of course will turn around and look up the settlement funds required if that applicant needs settlement funds, obviously. So let me go through the other data inputs that you're probably more familiar with. Again, data inputs are in yellow. So the spouse, which language, and I think I had this before. It's been so long since I've done this, but oh, actually no. In the original model, what I did was I assumed that English was a first language, is the primary language, and French was the second one. In this model, I actually enhance that, so you can alternate. So you can choose one of the four language test options for the first and the second. This is not smart enough to say, do an error check in case, say, you put in IELTS, first language, and then SELTA for a second. They're both for English, obviously, so you're not going to do that. But I don't have any logic to actually check for that. But anyways, in the case of this thing, so if you type in IELTS, here's a scoring, and if that's the actual score, you'll see the actual calculation here. The calculation for the language is rather lengthy. It's a series of X lookup values based on what value you selected on this dropdown. So it's a bit to that's a bit to explain actually, but feel free to play around with it, and I think you'll eventually understand what I was trying to do. Here's the language scoring, and then well, what I've also done is I am trying to figure out which is the French scoring, because in CRS scoring there is a specific bonus scoring for the French language. And as a matter of fact, there was a change to the CRS scoring for Sprint CLB7 or and CLB7, and depending on your English level, CLB4 or 5, they've increased the additional points from 15 to 25 with English CLB4 and 30 to 50 when English is CLB5. So that's actually incorporated already in this model too. And how it's set up is it was really easy for me to change because it's just a cell value inside one of the formulas. Uh, Actually, I'll show you really quick. It's down here. Uh, yeah, it's here. So basically 25 and the 50. And these are lookup values that are driving this. All right. So let me just go back to the start again. I'm going a little fast with this description because I'm actually testing some hardware. It's giving me a lot of trouble. So I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. So again, the marital status, the language score. I think I have the age. I think I've got the birth date or age somewhere in here somewhere. I think I've got the birth date, prompting for the birth date. It's buried in here somewhere. Obviously, I have to prompt for it. Yeah, it's there somewhere. I set this up a few months ago actually, so I'm only showing it now. So language scoring. Here's the lookup values. I usually kept this on another tab, but in this case, I wanted to show it because the language scoring is so complex. I've got the primary occupation drop down here. And again, this is for a federal skilled worker, so that your experience, the experience calculation is tied to this primary occupation. Speaking of birthday, here it is. So this is the birthday that you key in. I translate to the age, and then I look up to the lookup values for the birthday, and all that stuff is over here. Here's the age. Or what should I copy that in? That's Nova Scotia. And again, this is copied in from the older model. So slight change on the other model. I've got a date for, I think it's called the projected date or the forecast date or something. Uh, so uh, so I mean, when you have a start and an end date, I don't allow for the word present here anymore. You just have to key in the actual end date. Before you keyed in the word present, and I actually calculated to today's date. Uh, Not code, same thing. Work hours, this logic is the same. Country, this is a lot more straightforward now. If you look over here, this is extremely straightforward. So because I'm only looking for further skilled worker, Canadian experience class, and further skilled trade, you can see there's far less filtering. And because the duration is a little different, the last 3 years for Canadian experience class, 5 years for further skilled trade, and 10 for further skilled worker and express entry. So again, you data entry in the yellow. All the gray is the actual formulas. I should have mentioned that earlier. And then what I've done is because I'm doing a summarization, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, I'm summarizing 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. Note that these calculations are based on not in months, but in hours. So these calculations are based on hours. And then I come down here and then I aggregate it based on months. And you'll see the divide by 1560. I've also got a macro here because federal skilled worker, they're looking for when you're continuous work, but the program allows for say two full-time jobs back to back. That adds up to 1560 hours. What I've done is this macro sorts out the logic inside this grid, and I think yeah. So the row last, and then this is row zero. I described this logic in another video for the larger model, but that's how that all works. And then I've got the education. And again, the education is a lot more simpler now. Well, this is a spouse education, but the education is a lot more simpler now because I don't have all the other provinces cluttering it up. So this is the spousal factors here. And the continuing on with certificate of qualification, siblings. So again, everything in yellow that you see is required for the calculations. Down here, I calculate the federal skilled worker, L in gray, and then relatives, federal skill. Obviously, I'm just matching it up to whatever you need for federal skilled worker. So that's for the data entry portion. Here's the report, the invitation to apply letter, federal skilled worker summarization, federal skilled trade. It's just a true or false. Canadian experience classes, true or false. So that's basically it. Again, I rambled a little bit because I'm kind of presuming that you've already seen how I've done this. Oh, and here's the knock list because that drives the drop down values uh, for this grid here. this grid. So anyways, thank you very much. I apologize I haven't been making too many videos. I do have some other things I wanted to do, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you can hear me properly because I'm having some microphone issues. So that's part of the reason why I'm even recording this. Take care, everybody. I'll see you all soon.